7, Series 1, Episode 2, Tower Mutant Revelation begins. And this episode is really good. Like, at the beginning, I thought, like, oh, let me guess. Is this going to be Magneto needs to earn the X-Men's trust? And at some point, the X-Men does trust him, and then we move on with the rest of the season. That's what I thought this episode would be. I mean, in a way, it does because from last episode, from episode 1, it ends with the real Charles Xavier and Magneto owns everything that Charles ever built. And the X-Men are like, well, we know you, Charles, we know you, Eric, we know you, Magneto, like, we just don't trust you. And when you realize this entire episode, it's not just the X-Men that Magneto needs to evince that he has changed. It's the government, it's the rest of the world, because the rest of the world, yeah, sure, you save that group of people and those group of people and those group of people and those group of people, but you still have murdered and killed and have done crimes against humanity heavily towards humanity. The government, the Western world needs to trust you that you have changed, that you're a changed person, that you've seen the other ways. And of course, there's a whole group of people who are not big fans of that he's even having a child to begin with, because he's a mutant, because of all the stuff he's done. But the UN's like, hey, he deserves a fair trial. And the trial itself, like, before everything hits the fan, the trial itself, like, you can tell by the writer is, like, eating at Whitey Magneto. Like, eating at Whitey Magneto, because Magneto is written so smoothly and elegant, and he has this level of authority, and he knows what he believes what he does is right. Like, all he is like, hey, I'm just protecting my people. I'm just protecting my race. I'm protecting my very mutants, because I have seen it happen twice. Because, Eric being half Jewish, he is, experienced the Holocaust. They hinted that a little bit. They didn't just fall out say it, but it's like, if you guys know, you know, kind of thing. And him seeing the crime against mutants. So he's seeing like two type of Holocausts, and he's inventing, trying to make that not happen to mutants as he saw in World War II. And his responses are just so, like, he knows what to say, and you can't argue with him, because you can't help but go like, shit, he has a point. Magneto has a point. It's just his methods might have been a little bit messed up, but he has a point. So it's so well written, and the back and forth between the senators and the judges and Magneto, I just like, this is really well done and really put together. And definitely also at the end, where it's like, hey, let me show that I don't fail you. Speech. I was like, this is so good. This is so well written stuff. And the villains are in a way, like, the villain, like the executioner. The villain, he's a bit, like, he's all, mutants are the worst thing ever, right? I hate mutants. But the way he talks about mutants and the reason he hates mutants feels very fleshed out. Like, he's fighting Cyclops, and he goes and says, what I hate more than just you? I hate your complaining. I hate that you think you have it all worse than we do. I'm sick of your complaining and playing this and playing. So you can see, like, it's not just I hate mutants because, it's like I hate mutants because of X, Y, Z. It's just like, I just don't like you, and all these other explanations is just adding more layers towards the bigotry that the execution has towards mutants. I mean, what the execution does, like, in this episode, I'm like, holy shit. And I'm like, we're on episode 2. I thought that could be something you do like halfway through the season. But no, we're doing this in episode 2. We're saying goodbye, or at least at this point in time, saying goodbye to a character for our, might get till the end of the season in episode 2. That is a big, giant, like, what the hell is going on? And this big change that how, emotional, the scenes felt, and the big moments after the episode. I mean, even the stuff with Jean, like with Jean, she's feeling a sense of, like, she's pregnant. She's happy. She's glad she's having a child with Cyclops, but Jean's like, I'm afraid. I kind of want him to be human, because what do I say to them? Do I just say to them, oh, you're going to be a mutant, and then, because you're different, people are just going to fear you and hate you, and you're going to be treated differently just because you got powers, or whatever the experience is, just because you have an extra hand or something. It's a really well scene. It's a scene between Jean and Storm. I'm like, this is a really well written scene. I'm like, this whole episode is well with her. Even the stuff with the pregnancy, and even with the joke where, like, okay, Jean's water is about to break, and the only ones then in the mansion is Logan, is Wolverine, and she goes, Logan, he's here. Who? Apocalypse? No, the baby. like there's a pepper of humor out through it, and it works well. And even, like, Logan, like, breaking every driving rule just to get to the hospital. And this show is showing that it is mature. It is a very mature show. Or it's going to be mentioning stuff that you wouldn't expect being mentioned in a Saturday morning cartoon, like pregnancy and C-sections and that kind of stuff. I'm like, this is probably what it is. This is the show that people who were around in the 90s watching the original show, this is what you thought you were watching. And this is a damn good episode. Did I mention it? It's a damn good episode. Everyone, check out the first 2 episodes of X-Men 97. I think you'll be hooked onto the rest of the show.